Hello, women's wellness community. I am your host, Lucy Coutinho, joined by my lovely co host, Nahal Horn. We are back with another episode. So sit back, enjoy your warm cup of coffee or tea. Like we always say, these conversations always feel like having a warm cup of tea with your friend. Grab
Mhm.
yours and let's enjoy these conversations, right? So, today we're talking about something that's very, I think it's a very important conversation to have, right? So it's a word that's been buzzing around, maybe a little misused sometimes, but we want to clearly define it. And backed with research, we want to bring you this information about how to thrive after the effects from the trauma of narcissistic abuse. I
Mhm.
like definitions, right? I love definitions.
Me
So I
too.
wanted to start by really defining what narcissism is. It is a mental disorder that involves self involvement to the point of ignoring the needs of others. It's defined as NPD. It's called, it's a narcissist personality disorder, NPD, right? So here are some signs to identify narcissistic uh, personality disorder: a sense of entitlement, believing that one deserves special treatment or recognition for something that they did not earn. Okay. Number two, preoccupation with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or having a perfect mate. Lack of empathy, disregarding others' feelings and perspectives. That's number three. Number four, a feeling of grandiosity, right? Exaggerating one's own achievement or importance. And lastly, attention seeking, exploiting relationships for one's own personal growth. So, those are some examples around NPD. And we're also going to go into more detail about how to recognize
Yeah.
these behaviors as it's happening to you or as it's being inflicted onto you.
Yeah, I think this is a great subject, and it all stemmed from the book that we both are reading, right? It's called It's Not You Identifying and Healing from Narcissistic People by Dr. Ramani Durvasula. This is a book. I think you have the Kindle version, right, Lucy?
I do. It's a really, really great book, and she has
Yes.
done extensive research on the topic. She's actually an expert on the subject, and
Mhm.
I have been following and learning from her teachings for quite some time now.
On
Um,
YouTube.
so, if there's anyone that knows this topic, it is her, Dr. Ramani. So I'm really grateful for her research, her studies, and her helping so many people cope and deal with this with narcissistic abuse. So we're gonna go into the red flags of the relationship, but first I wanted to also define, and this is also from the book. She defines narcissistic abuse as narcissistic abuse can be defined as the interpersonally harmful, deceitful, invalidating patterns, behaviors, and alternation between disruptions of safety and trust and periods of normalcy and even enjoyment observed in any relationship with a person who has a personality style characterized by narcissism or antagonism. So it's very conflicting, right? Because you
Yeah.
have the negatives qualities and then the positive qualities. It's kind of like a roller coaster ride where you're feeling really great with them and then coming down and reaching an all-time low. So I can see how that can be very confusing, right? So, but I do, and you did have some red flags that you wanted to share, Nahal, just so we
Yeah.
can.
So we had 7 red flags to look out for. If you're questioning whether your partner or somebody that you're friends with or somebody in your circle has NPD, the number one is excessive need for admiration. Number two is lack of empathy. Three is a grandiose sense of self importance. Four is entitlement and exploitation. Five is envy and belittling others. And six is fragile self esteem. And then lastly, manipulative or controlling behavior.
Yeah, wow, that is a lot. That's yeah, that's a lot to digest, right? So, and I also wanted to say this: it's you don't only experience this in a romantic relationship,
Right,
right? There could
right.
be, you can have a parent who exhibits this type of behavior,
hmm
right?
You could have like siblings, extended family members, people in your friendship circles, neighbors, coworkers. It's not just romantic relationships.
Yeah, it's not. And sometimes these are people that you can't necessarily escape from. Like if you have, for example, a boss or someone that you work
Yeah.
for in a professional setting that, you obviously can't break the ties with that person. But there are ways to cope and deal with them. Um, and so I do also want to share some tips on how to grieve and heal from narcissistic relationships if you
Yeah.
have experienced that. I know for myself personally, I have experienced that in a romantic relationship, right? So at the time, I wasn't aware that it was happening.
Mhm.
I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know how to identify it because it's something that's so, it's very internal. Like you can't see it, you can't, it's not tangible. Even trying to explain to someone that you're being abused, mentally abused in that way is very difficult to articulate sometimes. And then with the and not even understanding what's happening, it's difficult to even come to that awareness. So I'm grateful for this study because it finally gives a name to this type of abuse that many people can't see, and it's an abuse that you typically suffer alone, and that's what makes it even worse, right? So
Thank you for sharing that. I know that's really vulnerable to share something like that. Were there any signs or things, like I mentioned, were there red flags that you knew pretty early on, or did they not show up till later?
There were early signs from that list. So it's like it came in slow waves, right? So it'd be like little actions, but then it would be coupled with like the high feelings, right? The feeling of like of making me feel like I was, the greatest person, like the most important person in their lives, right? Just like really feeling valued and admired and all of those things. And they call that love bombing, the love bombing
We've all
stage.
heard that now. I think that's like a phrase that we hear on social media. Just scrolling, you'll hear like signs to look out for if someone love bombs you.
Yeah, the love bombing phase. So then it becomes very confusing because you're like, well, this person really cares about me. They have their best interest at
Yeah.
my best interest at heart. Then they start to, so once that period is over, then they find a way to chip away at you and pick on you and break you down, where
Yeah.
they're either picking away at your flaws or even finding flaws, right? To kind of like get you feeling a little down about yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then make you feel like you actually need them in your life, because without them you can't do certain things, or who are you without them, those stages.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then just constantly um, using verbal abuse for control,
Yeah.
um, and using gaslighting tactics,
Hmm.
kind of invalidating your reality, and then you start to question your own
Right.
reality, or
Yeah,
look
gaslighting, manipulating.
manipulating. So if you say, well, I didn't, for example, and I like examples too, to give you an example, if I say to you, Nahal, well, I don't like the way that you said that to me. I don't like the way that you spoke to me in that way. And you repeat back to me, or you reply back to me, well, I didn't say that to you. That wasn't what I said. Like, that's all in your imagination. Like, why do you think that I said that? That's not what I said. And constantly doing things like that. And you're like, oh, wow, maybe I didn't hear that correctly, or maybe I didn't, like, maybe they didn't say that. So that's constant, the manipulation is always there,
Yeah.
and definitely invalidating your reality. So in your mind, you feel like there comes a point where you feel like you're really, like, you're losing your mind in a sense,
Mm.
like
Hmm.
you're losing your mind, and you kind of have like a murky sense of like what reality
Hmm.
is and what you think reality is, and it becomes very tricky.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of people listening to this or watching this who are already thinking about, well, I know someone like that, or I've gone through something like that. I would highly recommend the book.
Yes.
Just
Thank
reading it for the last couple weeks, it's taken me a long time. I'm still not done. It's just very real and a little heavy because you start to realize certain relationships may not have been the healthiest. And once you realize you've been through in a relationship with someone like this, it does take some awareness to start healing yourself in a way. So,
Yes, and I did want to go over the healing part of it, because it's so important. Because okay, this happened. How do I heal from this, and how do I move forward from this situation, right? I would say the first thing to do is to take time to mourn the relationship,
yeah,
the ending of the relationship, right?
yeah,
Accepting it, acknowledging that this actually happened. It happened, and not judging yourself for it happening to you.
yeah,
It doesn't speak to your intelligence. It doesn't speak to your self-worth. And I really want to emphasize that, because there is a lot of feeling of shame around it,
of
because the
course.
biggest question I had to ask myself is like, you're so smart. Like, why would you allow this to happen, and it's not beating ourselves up for it. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to come out of it feeling like, okay, more to empower yourself, and understanding that
Yeah,
this happens. It happens to the greatest of people. It happens to the
totally.
smartest, most intelligent, most emotionally aware people. And unfortunately, there are people out there who are seeking out people who they can get the supply from, right? So
Yeah,
don't be the supplier. There's
yeah.
ways to safeguard yourself, to
Hmm.
not be the supplier. And the more informed you are, the more educated you are on on what even is.
Yeah,
That's why I like definitions. I like examples. I like to provide red flags, because those are some of the ways we can safeguard ourselves and
yeah,
protect ourselves, right?
absolutely.
So
I
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you mourn,
Yeah.
that might take some time just to acknowledge that you've been in a relationship like that, and then after that, how do you start rebuilding?
Yes. So seeking professional help, therapy has been something that I've personally have
Same.
sought out. It's been very helpful at different
Hmm.
periods of time. I've felt like, it's time to go to therapy, or it's time to go back to therapy and
Hmm.
process and talk about um, what this, how that's impacted my life,
Totally.
So I highly encourage talk therapy. And I would say find and cultivate community is another way.
Hmm.
Therapy is not always the way, but having community, that supportive circle of friends and people around you, that truly see you and value you and love you for who you are, that's a great way to start to rebuild from that trauma, right? Because I do classify it as a traumatic event. It's
100%.
something that stays within your body for a long
Mhm.
time, and it takes time to process and to heal from it. Um, and so be gentle with yourself as you're going through your healing process, because there is no timeline. I wish I could tell you it takes
Um,
5 months and 6 months, and no, it takes however long it takes you to do the work for yourself. So be gentle, be kind, be patient with yourself, right? So yeah, definitely find that support system. And there are so many groups out there now that you can find where they know exactly what you've experienced, it because they've experienced it themselves. So you
yeah.
can have dialogue, right? Bounce it off of each other, support each other. Like if you have a day where you're not feeling great, today I woke up and I wasn't feeling strong. I wasn't feeling
Yeah.
like myself. And hearing someone tell you, you got this, you can do it,
Yeah.
like, or even how can I support you in this moment? Do you want me to just listen to you? Because
Mhm.
sometimes that's all we need is someone to listen.
So listen, I agree. I feel like just talking about it with your friends, you'll realize everybody has a story, whether it's with someone with narcissism personality disorder or other kinds of mental illness. Like I've been talking about it with friends and they'll tell me stories about some issues they've had in their family with mental illness and how much it's affected them as a person and how we're all in this healing journey, believe it or not. Like the more you talk to people, the more you realize. I mean, why do you think shows like Maury Povich, what is it, Jerry Springer, all of these shows were so popular when we were growing up?
Yeah,
Because it made people feel better to know that they're not the only ones going through a crazy life experience or crazy family or crazy partner.
yeah,
I mean, it was a little extreme.
yeah.
Um,
But
but
yeah, I do get that. Like, we're all going through something, and it's amazing how, when we start to share our stories, we
yeah.
realize, wow, how not alone we are.
Yes.
In our minds, we feel so alone, right? This is only happening to me, like,
Yeah.
but it's not only happening to you. And there are so
No,
many people going through the same challenges that you may be going through.
100%. Yeah.
And
It doesn't have to be Jerry Springer level, but we're all
yes,
going through
we're
something
all
or
going
gone
through.
through something.
Right, absolutely. And we get to hold each other as we
Yeah.
navigate through whatever it is that we're going
Yeah.
through. So, community, I cannot stress that enough. It's
Yes.
so important to heal through community, right? So,
Totally.
yes.
I love that. I'm glad that you put that out there.
Yeah. And I know you have some self care practices that you would like to share as it
Oh,
pertains to this. Like, what would you recommend one do for their self care practices that
you
maybe?
know what? I think we talked about this earlier, but I do believe in getting enough sleep is so important and it's such an underrated like life hack basically. Like some people think, well, we'll sleep when we're dead or just keep going. No, if you haven't recharged your brain, your body, your spirit, how can you continue moving forward with strength and energy? We really need to get good sleep. And that means sleep hygiene, right? like making
Yes.
sure that you're going to sleep at a good hour, making sure that you've got all the things you need to make sure you sleep well through the night. I mean, if you have small children, sometimes you're just gonna have to ride the period out. You're not gonna get the best sleep, but making sure that you are not on your screens, like not looking at your phones before you, like, I do it too. Sometimes you just want to scroll, right? But that's really not good for our brain. Like I don't know what it does. It like affects the melatonin in your brain because of the blue light.
Yeah, the light. The light is it's yeah, it's a huge thing. Like it keeps your brain awake for hours after you've turned it off and you're thinking, okay, I'm turning off my phone and my devices. Now I'm going to try to go get some sleep. But your brain at that point is so wired and active. That's
Yes,
why you're not getting to sleep. Yeah.
100%. So read a book, journal, stare at the ceiling, have a conversation with your partner, or to yourself. I think just being present in your own energy is so important. And
Yes.
I think we're not used to that. We want to just distract, absorb, be busy, like mentally busy. But the most healing thing you can do is just be in silence or just be with yourself.
Yes. I completely agree with that. Sometimes difficult to do,
Oh,
but
yeah, come on.
it's
Don't get me started. There
yeah,
are days
it's
where I'm like,
difficult. I do get
scroll.
like let me look at something else other than like paying attention to what I'm thinking about right now. So
Yes.
I do understand, but unplugging is really the key.
Mm, 100%.
Yeah.
Unplug and then go to sleep. Oh.
Go to sleep. Get that good rest.
Mhm.
It's so important in our functioning, to our functioning, right? And
Yeah.
it helps to regulate our emotions, our
Mhm.
moods. It's
Mhm.
just so good. I've really learned to appreciate sleep. I value it so much.
Me
Like
too.
you, when I was younger, it was all about productivity and how much I can do in a day and how far I can go. Now I'm like, well, that's as far as I can go, and that was good enough. But this rest right here,
Hmm.
I'm getting this rest. Yeah.
Yes. So that's probably my number one is just get that good sleep, be on your own, write in your journal, get in touch with what you want. Sometimes we're so influenced by what everybody else wants. Some of us are people pleasers. Well, if we want to do this, then we're going to hurt this person. No, like, what do you really want to do? And you can't figure that out unless you're in your own space, your own energy.
That's a really good point. That all that noise, that
Oh,
outside noise,
yes,
like,
literally. Like we're hearing the sirens in the background,
right.
right?
Yeah, literally, man.
That's a great analogy for our everyday minds. There's
Yeah,
so much going on that's not even our opinions, our thoughts.
right. Our thoughts, yeah. That's a
Mhm.
really great point. I love that. So,
Yeah, so
number one, get rest, sleep.
get rest. Yeah.
I love
Number two, three, four. Honestly, I think once you get the sleep in, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, it's true.
What, what about you?
I would say move your body more,
Mm,
physical exercise, whatever that looks like. I personally love yoga. That's how I get my physical exercise in. And I also like to walk in nature. So I
yeah.
tackle both, the physical and then being in
Mm,
nature. That would be my number two.
I love that
Move your
walk.
body, get physical.
Oh, I love it. I would say meet with friends, create a nice group of people that you love and trust and that want the best for you. And even if it's just one other person, that's plenty.
Yeah, connections, like
Connections.
human physical connection. I
Mhm.
do love that, and I feel like that is also so important and to add to your self-care checklist. That's a beautiful one. Thank you for sharing that. um, I would say also diet is very important.
Yeah.
Like eating more stress reducing foods. And I actually have a list of some
Ooh.
foods that you can eat, fruits, vegetables, all of the things. I'll mention a few of them. And I have a list because it's something that helps me to hold myself accountable, right?
Hmm.
Oranges. Did you know that eating an orange or drinking orange juice can reduce your stress level?
Wow, really?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go get some oranges. I
Easy one, right? You're gonna love this one. Bananas. My favorite fruit.
I know that because it has potassium, which
Yeah.
reduces your blood pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point. Avocado.
Yum. Mm.
God's butter.
Oh, yes. Anything.
Avocados. I think I
Yeah.
have one a day. It's crazy how many
Yeah,
avocados we eat.
me too.
Garlic. Not
Mm.
shocking, but you
I'm
know
all
the old time remedies where your grandma used to
eat the
say,
garlic.
just, you're sick, eat a garlic. You're
Yeah.
sick, let me add some garlic. Everything garlic. So,
Yeah.
garlic.
Yes, totally.
You are going to love this because
Tell
I love
me.
this.
Tell me.
Dark chocolate.
My
Eat
girl. My girl.
chocolate.
Yes. Love
Okay,
it.
let's go. Oh, blueberries.
Yeah,
My
I
absolute favorite.
have all of those in my fridge right now, except for the
I can
chocolate
just
out
eat
in the fridge.
blueberries. Like, sometimes I'll just sit there and be like, oh, wow, I really ate the whole thing.
Yeah.
Blueberries. Strawberries.
All about that.
Spinach.
Okay.
So these are easy, right? They're not terrible. They're actually
Yeah.
yummy foods that you can eat to reduce stress. And I do want to say, like, nutrition and diet, it's something that we don't think about when we think about, like, our self
Stress.
care and stress levels and things like that, and how that actually affects our mood.
Yes.
So definitely eating more stress reducing foods. I would
Okay.
add that into.
Gonna go eat some chocolate right after this.
I know. Go have it.
Mmm.
Chocolate. All the goodies, avocados, all the avocados and bananas you can find. So
Mm.
not terrible, right?
No,
That's good.
it's so fun and easy.
Mhm. Do you have any others you want to share before we
No,
go?
I kind of spoke about it earlier, but being with yourself, so meditation, I would say tapping into your higher self through meditation or prayer. Like if you are
Yeah,
more religious
right.
and you want to pray, I feel like that is a similar form of meditation. I think that really is a way to reduce stress, overcome hard times, depression and anxiety. All of those
Mm,
are lowered with meditation
yeah.
and or prayer.
Yeah, no prayer. I
Hmm.
do love that. Thank you for adding that. And what a great way to end that self care list. We always like to, we introduce heavy topics sometimes, but we always like to end with, okay, well, what are some of the self care practices and how we can better care for ourselves and then the examples we can share.
Yeah.
So, this is what this is all about. We've talked about a little heavy topic today, but I think it's also a topic and it's a word that's getting a little thrown around there, out
Definitely.
there a lot, like, but it's serious. It's very serious, and we should take it serious. And although we shouldn't be trying to diagnose everyone that we meet,
Right.
but we should be aware that this is it is a diagnosis. It's something
Yeah.
that is very real, and it has been around for who knows how long, but we can
Sure.
finally put a name to it, to this type of abuse, right? It's not physical, you can't see it, and many suffer very alone, um,
Hmm.
with this kind of abuse. So it's definitely a public service announcement, I feel.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
it's really grateful for this platform to be able to share this information. And we will be talking more about it. We do hope to have an expert come on.
Would love to have her on.
Yes, we are putting that out there into the universe. It's going to happen. I
Hmm.
don't know when, but it will. And
Yes.
so that will be, wow, that will be amazing.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And so that's it for now. We are so grateful for this community, women's wellness. Please do join our community online. We are on Instagram. It's at Women's Wellness Podcast.
Hmm.
We have many dialogues going on there weekly, and we also we provide updates on when our next episode is going to come up and what we're talking about. And we always love your feedback.
Yes.
Always love to hear what other topics you want us to discuss. We're always open to it. This is a community, so you are part of this community, and we are so thankful to all of you. Until the next time, be well and sending you all so much love.
So much love.
Bye.